Democrat Steve Cohen did not vote for the debt deal because it cut the government too much. He still says that the way of our fiscal spiral is more taxes, more spending. The Tennessee Congressman joining me now. So you argue we didn't do enough on the spending side, but just explain that.
Well, the president worked with John Boehner, and I want to compliment the president and Speaker Boehner for coming up with a $4 trillion deal that included some revenue. And that's what S&P said we needed, was $4 trillion, not $2. It also said we needed revenue and cuts, and we didn't get that in the long run. So I think what the S&P told us, it was a wake-up call to Congress to work together, to compromise, but to do cuts as well as revenue, and to make it a real cut that helps with our long-term security. So I think it's a wake-up call. I think it reinforces the president's actions, Speaker Boehner's actions. I think it highlights the intransigence of the Tea Party, which hurt Speaker Boehner from being able to work with Senator McConnell
well,
and
what
the
about
president.
the intransigence on the left? I mean, there was intransigence to cut more spending on the left. So the Tea Party's held it hostage for not wanting more spending, but liberals did not for wanting more spending. You can't have it both ways, sir.
Well, Neil, I don't know, when you talk about the left and liberals, I don't know what you're talking about exactly, because I guess you're talking about Democrats, but the bottom line is we wanted a shared sacrifice, and we wanted revenue as well. The biggest reason
But wait a minute, Congress, when you said shared sacrifice, just to be real here, I know you wanted the rich to pay more, corporations to pay more, but none of you ever mentioned the 51% of Americans who pay no income taxes at all. Were they going to be left out of the shared deal?
Well, most of those people don't have much money to pay. If it's deductions,
that's fine, but I
can't
can't imagine it's 51. No, well, that's fine, but it cannot be 51% of Americans.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is
yes,
it wasn't shared at all.
But see, Congressman, it is the issue. Because you are loading a red herring when you say in the issue of fairness, the rich or corporations have to pay more, leaving aside the fact that anyone should pay more for this questionable performance we've gotten out of a government. Why do you always leave out the fact, when you're talking about fairness, that 51% of Americans don't pay taxes at all?
Well, I don't know that your figures are accurate, and I'm not sure. Most of them are very low-income people.
51% of eligible taxpayers from the IRS books themselves, quoted by this Congressional Budget Office itself, pay no income taxes. Now, a good percentage pay FICA taxes and the like. I take nothing away from them. I agree with you, sir. Some of them might not be in a position to pay any taxes at all. But not
even
51%.
Given your statement as taking your statement as a given, it means we needed tax reform, but tax reform can and should include revenues. And this budget didn't even include
address revenues before you start demanding one group pay more. Maybe get everyone to put skin in the game.
Well, everybody, but obviously, Neil, the people that have the money are the ones that have benefited from this economy.
But you keep hitting up the
Wall
same
Street
group.
folks who pay carried interest. Because they're the ones that have the money.
That's what S&P is saying. That's what S&P is saying.
Are you saying Willie?
You keep hitting up the same group, and you leave more than half the people in this country out of it entirely.
Are you saying Willie Sutton shouldn't have gone to the banks? He should have gone to the pawn shops? You go where the money is.
Willie Sutton
and that's why Willie Sutton went to the banks.
Investment policy. Presumably you are. And I'm not
exactly.
inspired.
I am, Neil. And Neil, what Standard & Poor's said is what I'm saying. It needs to be balanced. It needs to be revenue
but
and
it's
cuts.
Not balanced
there was
when
no
you leave
revenue
a whole
in this.
Group out. But Congressman, I wish we had more time. Drives me nuts.
There was no revenue in this at all.
All right,
there was no revenue in this at all.
Senator,
Oy vey, there you go.
We're going to have more after this.
Back to the Lower East Side with Neil.